One. Hey, everybody, Ulysses Butch Slaughter, Program Manager for the Chester Housing Authority. Welcome to our first building community. I'm here with a collection of people some of you probably know quite well. This is a new series that we've set up to stay informed with our residents, our neighbors, in a time of a little less connection. So we're going to find new ways to stay connected and hopefully do this at least once a week to keep you informed about all the things that we got going on. I'm going to quickly turn it over to our executive director, Steve Fischer, who is, Steve, you are not socially isolated, are you?
I think I am in my office, but isolated since no one else is here with me, right?
I guess so.
Does that count?
You know, definitions are hard to understand these days, so I guess we'll define isolation on our own.
Okay, well, thank you, Butch, for putting this together. In actuality, we had been planning to produce a forum like this for a while on the various issues that we take on in our communities that we manage. What we did not plan on was that by the time we got to the first episode or presentation, that it would be in time of crisis in which we find ourselves. So we cannot, today we won't be able to help but tailor our comments to that because, you know, appropriately so, that's pretty much what we're spending our days and nights dealing with, and we can't ignore that. Just to provide a little backdrop, we stole our own tagline, which is building community, which you find every time you look at our logo. And I don't know if it's considered stealing if it's your own. So hopefully we're okay. So this, you could call this Building Community Episode 1 if you want. And so we called on some of our friendliest business associates whose expertise is in the health profession, being that health, trying to direct people in our program toward better health lifestyles has been a hallmark of the Housing Authority past several years. So we've developed very close and effective relationships with health professionals in the community, a few of whom are with us here today. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and get into more specifics about health and how it relates to where we are today. Obviously, it's a health crisis, so not too difficult to make that connection. That's the subject for today. Hopefully we'll continue with this on other related and maybe not so related subjects as we move through this new mode of communication with our staff and residents. I'll throw it back to you, Butch.
Hey, so we're going to go what looks to me like clockwise, and that means that up next, we're going to bring in Natania Schaumburg, who's down at the farm, the Bennett farm. Natania, you want to give our viewers a little background on who you are, what you do, how you contribute to the Chester Housing Authority?
Sure. So I am the urban farm manager for the Ruth Bennett Community Farm. I'm actually out at the farm right now, so sorry if it's a little windy or hard to hear me. We are gardening and farming on a 2-acre site at the Bennett homes. And during the growing season from June through October, we have a farm stand where we sell produce that we're growing, and we also buy in other produce items that we can't grow, such as fruit and eggs. We also have a youth development program where we employ youth over the summer to work at the farm So in addition to learning all about gardening and farming, they're also developing soft skills, such as, just job readiness, showing up on time, communication, team building, all of those things. And we're also doing other enrichment activities where we take field trips, we interact with youth who are involved with similar projects, in the area. So currently we are, in our spring preparation, just getting our beds prepped and compost on the beds and all of those things that are important this time of year so that we can get plants in the ground as soon as next week. We feel like it's more important than ever to be planting as much food as possible so that we can be feeding our community, especially during a time where there's a lot of food shortage and people are struggling, to get healthy produce regularly right now, especially seniors, people who are more housebound. So I want to mention, and I think, Punis is going to share this widely, that we're actually doing some food distributions through the Bennett Farm starting next Thursday. We're going to be doing produce boxes for primarily Bennett residents. And the boxes will include a variety of seasonal produce items like salad greens, spinach, root vegetables like carrots, beets, turnips, onions, potatoes, probably some sweet potatoes, some fruit, mostly apples right now, maybe some pears that are from storage, and then eggs and possibly some milk, at least for the first one. So we're hoping to do 4 distributions. We're trying to get some emergency funding to cover the cost, but we feel like, especially next week, people are going to really start feeling the impact of not getting paychecks, supplemental income, and just being scared to go to the grocery store right now. So we're definitely going to be practicing strict social distancing procedures for giving out those boxes. We're going to be asking people to stand 6 feet apart. We're going to be putting marks of tape on the sidewalk and basketball court. We're not allowing people into our area, but we'll be putting the boxes on a table, and one person at a time will step up and get the box.
Natania, let me pause you for a second. I want to pause you for a second because a lot of this relates to what we want to talk about on the back end. I want to introduce the other people into the conversation, and this will give you a chance to catch a much needed break. You are working hard out there, and we really appreciate it. Let me pull these other people in, and we're going to come back and talk about what people can expect down there at the farm. Bear with me for a second. Pauline, let's move over to you. Let's talk about your role with the Housing Authority, who you are, and a little bit of your background.
You're on mute.
Okay, got that. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Pauline Thompson, and I'm a health psychologist from Pennsylvania State University at the Brandywine campus, and I've been doing work with the Chester Housing Authority with Mr. Slaughter on a project called New Integration Accommodations, which has to do with how people get along with each other and how we work together. But in terms of health today and the things that we're talking about, and what Natania had already talked about was like healthy eating and how do we eat well during a situation like this. And as a health psychologist, some of the other things around eating and what we see a lot of people talking about now is like, what day is it even as we are challenged by staying home a lot more than we're typically used to, as we might be finding that our schedule is getting all out of whack. And, so in terms of maintaining your own health and not just your physical health, but your mental and emotional well-being, some of the things to think about are how do we stay on a reasonable schedule, and how does that schedule influence how we feel? So if you find yourself sleeping all the time, it's okay to sleep a bit more. But if you find yourself sleeping all day, and even your days and nights might be switching as you're staying up all night and then find that you're sleeping all day, but that can contribute to a compromised sense of well-being and start feeling depressed and feeling a bit out of sorts. So it is important to try to maintain some kind of schedule in a difficult situation, and making sure that you're getting up and moving your body. I know I'm finding that if I sit around all day, my back starts hurting, And so even if I say a couple times a day that I'm going to just get up and move my body a little bit more, put on some fun music or something. And another thing that I see keep popping up is around social media and how that impacts the way we process information. And so we're on social media a lot now, and it's great as a way to maintain contact with people, but be mindful about short, quick bits of information, and challenge yourself to take some time to do deeper processing of information. So reading a book or learning something new, and so that it's not just always short, quick bits of information, because you actually start to then just want short, quick bits of information, and it gets harder and harder to actually just like sit down and read for 30 minutes. So challenge yourself to, even when you see that article come across social media and you go, oh, that's too long, I don't want to read it. Now sit down and read through the whole thing to kind of give your brain that challenge of concentrating for a longer period of time. So those were just some things that I thought about for this today.
And we're going to come back to a lot of this stuff. We want to make sure that people are getting some real solid nutrients, whether it be food from the farm or nutrients from you, Pauline, the kind of information that will keep people strong during this challenging time. I want to go over to Maya. Maya, hey, thank you for joining us here on Building Community.
Hello.
A lot of people will look at you and say, hey, I remember her when she was this big, right? Because a lot of people in Chester know who you are. So Maya, you're with Keystone First now. Let you introduce yourself.
Yes, I am returning to Keystone First. I was with the organization for 15 years and left for 3, and I'm excited to be back. And I was actually come back to manage our new Wellness and Opportunity Center that'll be located, well, it is located right on 9th Street. And I should know this address by heart by now.
9th and Yarno. It's right by the Commodore Berry Bridge, right?
Yes, I'll have the address in a moment. But we're actually here in the community because Keystone First has a long history with the city of Chester, and majority of the Medicaid members in the community are our members. So it made sense for us to have a space directly in the community for our members and also community to be able to access. We're bringing some cool activities. We'll be doing health and wellness activities, of course. But we're also teaming up with organizations like Uplift Solutions, who will be offering a food rescue on Fridays. So they'll be picking up food from like the Whole Foods and Glen Mills and things like that to offer to the community. And there's exercise classes, the YMCA will be there. And we're looking to partner with outside organizations. So we'll be working with all of you, hopefully, to bring some great activities and, knowledge and information to the community. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Steve, you're used to in the Housing Authority. I've been around the Housing Authority for almost 10 years now. You're used to rising to the challenge of difficult times. And with the resources that you have with these partnerships, my guess is that it's great to know that you can count on the people here that are with us today in times like this. Talk a little bit about what these 3 different relationships have meant to the Housing Authority and what they mean now.
Good point. We've worked hard over the years to acknowledge the fact that we cannot operate in a vacuum, nor do we want to. One of the goals for our residents is that we want to see them integrate themselves into the mainstream of the city they live in or the county they live in, and have that extend as far as possible. So we do that by inviting people in as often as possible and taking the opportunity to get people out as often as possible. Yeah, I've been working with Maya Stewart for probably all or most of that 15-year period she talked about. If not for her, we would not have brought a full-time, full-service dental practice to Chester all those years ago. A lot of our tenants, started getting regular dental care for the first time in their lives. and that's just one of many things that Keystone First has helped us establish in our communities and of course in the city over those years. Natania, we found her. That was a stroke of great luck, and so the farm, the community gardening, which eventually grew into farming, and has become such a well entrenched part of the Chester. Has just been taken to higher levels than we ever anticipated. And Pauline's participation here is representative of the relationships we've established with several institutions of higher learning. So not just with Penn State, where she is, Swarthmore College in particular. We have current relationships with Newman University, Westchester University, and probably one or two that I'm not thinking of. So anyway, having established all that over the years, boy, does it come in handy at a time like this, because we can pick up the phone and talk to other professionals that have more of an expertise than we have. I mean, bottom line is we're housers. We don't pretend to be health experts or childcare providers or farmers for that matter. So we go out and form the relationships and find the people that can do that well with us, and then hopefully, we also provide them a piece of expertise with the various clientele that they deal with as well. So our normal approach, which is building relationships and partnerships with other businesses, other nonprofits. It's times like this where that that shows why you do those things in the first place. So thanks for pointing that out. He lost his sound.
Mute.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. Natania, I was pointing out that you look like you're in an episode of the Weather Channel. You know how when you see those reporters on the Weather Channel and the things are blowing? People need to know that this is not staged, that you are really at the farm.
Oh yeah, I am shivering, and it's not a front. Yeah.
So you are out there taking one for the team, as they say, making sure that we continue to produce down at the Bennett Farm. For people who don't know, where is the farm located? My guess is, Natania, I meet people all the time and they still don't know where that farm is. Where is it?
So there's a range of addresses used. I often use 1318 Carla's Lane, but it's right off of 9th Street at the Bennett Homes. You just follow the horseshoe around to the basketball court, and that's where we are.
I want to do this quickly because we're running out of time, and it's fine. We'll have an opportunity to do this again. Natania, why is it important, if you haven't already stated this, why is it so important right now for people to have not just any food, but good food like the food you produce at the farm?
Yeah, so, I mean, people, I think, in general are not on their routines. You're, like as has been mentioned, people are sitting around a lot more. And I feel like it's really important to keep giving our bodies nutrients that they need. And that, for us, that comes from nutrient-dense produce like healthy leafy greens, the root vegetables that I mentioned we'll have in the box, healthy protein, so we'll be providing some eggs, lean protein. I'm a vegetarian, but you can definitely get a lot of lean protein in your diet too. I think those things are really important.
So one of the things, Natania, is we have a Facebook page for the Bennett Farm, correct?
There is.
So people want to reach out to you. They can reach out to you through the Facebook page. How do they find you?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, they
Okay.
can do that. They can, I can share my email.
You want to do that? And we'll make sure that we post it as part of what we put up. But if you can quickly share your email address.
Sure, it's N Schaumburg. So N is in Nancy, Schaumburg, S as in Sam, CHAUM as in Mary, BURG, at chesterha.org.
And again, we're going to put that up when we post this, wherever we post it. We'll let people know how to reach you. But you can go to that Facebook page if you're interested in finding Natania. I'm going to go over here to Pauline. Pauline, you're muted right now. Okay, there we go. So along with what Natania was talking about, she was talking about the importance of eating right. And you were talking about the importance of what I would simply call the kind of mental psychological game in this situation. How does the food work in conjunction with what you are promoting as a health psychologist?
Well, as a health psychologist, it all works together. If you're, for example, if you find that because you're sitting around, a lot of people are making jokes now that kind of your day is spent going to the kitchen, sitting on the couch, going to the kitchen, sitting on the couch, and you kind of have moved away from your typical meals and you're now snacking a lot. Well, it's not bad to snack a lot. It depends on really what you're snacking on. And what you're putting, the food that you actually put into your body does affect your concentration and how you think, and it also affects how you sleep. So for example, if you're eating a lot more sugar, you may not be able to concentrate as well, and you may find that it does have an impact on your sleep quality. Whereas if you're eating, like Natania mentioned, more nutrient dense foods, and you can eat peanuts and nuts and leafy greens. You know, I happen to know somebody who now gets bags of spinach and just eats it raw as a snack. Yeah, that would be that guy right there. As I told him he needed to eat more leafy greens, and so he literally snacks on it out of the bag.
I got that from Steve, I should mention. I see him eating greens all the time, so it's one of the things I picked up from you, Steve.
Oh, okay. There we go. But, you know, so all of these things interrelate. And another important thing that I wanted to talk about is social contact. And a lot of people are talking about social distancing, and it's actually not social distancing, it's physical distancing, because we can certainly maintain lots of close social contact. I don't mean in physical proximity, but for example, I've found that during this time, I've reconnected socially and virtually with people all around the world that I'm usually too busy to contact. So been able to reach out to friends in West Africa and New Zealand and Australia. I've reached out to family members who I never seem to get time to talk to, and able to give them a call and say, how are you doing? Particularly reaching out to elderly family members or family members who might have health conditions that compromise them, and just checking in on them to make sure that they are getting enough food, that they're able to get their medications and whatever else they need. And social contact is critical at a moment like this. Social contact for your mental health and well-being, your social and emotional well-being is absolutely critical, because even though you might be physically staying at home, you need to know that you've got loved ones out there, and that you need to let them know that you care about them, and to know that you're cared about as well.
I'm going to go over here to Maya. Thank you so much, Pauline. I'm going over here to Maya. Maya, right before this happened, you all had just done a grand opening right over here underneath the Commodore Barry Bridge. Again, it's somewhere around 9th and Yarnell where you're located. And if people,
I know the address now. Sorry.
You got the address, okay. And we want to make sure we come back to everybody so that people know how to get in contact with you all. Part of building community is, first of all, it's a perpetual thing. I think Steve would agree with me. We continue to build community. And so we want people to know that in spite of the fact that that facility is closed, that you continue to be a part of this community through Keystone First, and that there is, I'm just getting a message here that tells me we got to wrap this up soon, but tell people how to get in contact with you, and even though that the building is not open right now.
Absolutely. So the address to the site, once it is up and running, is 1929 West 9th Street. That's in Chester, PA 19013. And it's directly next to the Family Dollar. It's in the same shopping center as that. But you can get in contact with me via email. We can start setting some things up now in preparation for once, you know, all of this clears and everybody's back to being happy, healthy, and safe. So my email address is M for Maya, Stewart, Stewart, at KeystoneFirstPA.com. And we can definitely connect and try to get some things going. I'm excited about all the opportunities and the possibilities of the site and the true work that we want to put in for the community. And I'm just honored to be part of this facilitation, this process.
Well, people have known you, like I said, for a long time, Maya, and it's important to see people in times like these. It's important to see people that we trust in. You've got the face of trust, and it's gone a long way back. I'm going to take it back over here to Steve real quick so he can wrap us up. Steve, any final words here on building community and what people can expect going forward?
Yeah, you know, we've probably got a laundry list of about 10 different areas that we're planning on hitting on. If people are going to be viewing this, we welcome them to submit requests on things they might like to hear us talk about. One little housing thing I want to throw out that is critical right now for any of our residents that happen to catch this. April 1st just passed, and you know what the first of the month means in housing. It means the rent is due. Public housing residents are among the more fortunate people right now. Their rent can always be adjusted to conform to their income. So if unfortunately you have lost your job during this, as so many people have, please be sure to contact us and let us know, and we can immediately adjust your rent downward so that at least one effect of this crisis won't affect you, which is, you know, the inability to pay your rent. So that's just a little piece of business that I'm going to conveniently use this venue to point out. We've already been flooded with those requests, but in case anyone overlooked that or wasn't sure what they should do, you know how to get in touch with us.
It's a different one.
Natania, thank you so much. Pauline, thank you so much. And Maya, thank you so much for joining us here on Building Community. We're going to do this enough where we're going to start looking like a real pro group here. So this is good. This is good practice for us, and everybody got to get back to work. Steve, thank you for your time. I am going to end the recording, and thank you all so much.
Thanks.